तं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यसतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you again for joining. So, today we'll be continuing Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, chapter 4, text 30 onwards. Just a quick recap. In this chapter, we are discussing about the confidential reasons for the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And very first verse, very profound. It says that by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even a foolish child can fully describe the real nature of Lord Krishna, the enjoyer of the pastimes of Braja, and according to the vision of revealed scriptures. And then after that, we started discussing about few external reason which we discussed in last chapter, which is to give the holy name, spread prema, allow Godhead, and spread the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. There was a reason, external reason of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. And then we discussed about how Krishna appeared in in Dwapara Yuga, and how what kind of pastimes he did, a bit briefly. And he said that Krishna appears, when Krishna appears in any of the yugas, then all the devatas, all the Vishnu Tattvas, they get merged into Krishna's body itself, right? And then we discussed about Krishna. The killing of demons is not done by Krishna, but is done by Vishnu, which is actually within the Krishna. Yeah. So he says Vishnu Dware Kare Krishna Asura Samhara. So this 13 verse. Yeah. So through Vishnu, Krishna kills, but Krishna is busy in his pastimes. And killing of demons is the secondary thing for the Lord. And the most important thing is that this verse, Prema Rasa Niryasa Karita Swadana, Raga Marga Bhakti Magloke Karita Pracharana. So Lord want to taste the sweet mellow essence of love of Godhead and to propagate devotional service. Then we discussed about that how Krishna likes in a more that when devotee worship him in a relationship as a lover or a son or a friend, instead of worshiping him in very awe and reverence, right? So that is the verse where he says, Mora Putra, Mora Sakha, Mora Pranapati, Ye Bhave Jay More Kore Suddha Bhakti. Anyone who worship me performs Suddha Bhakti in the category of as a son, as a friend, and a lover, like that. And Krishna says that Apanake Bodamane, he himself, the devotee thinks himself greater than Amare Samahina, and thinking me as lower than him, right? And in that way, the one who worship, then Krishna becomes subordinate to him. Then we saw a few more examples of how devotional service rendered to Krishna by serving Krishna, we revive our eternal life, right? And Krishna said, this is the only means by which you have attained my favor. So he's saying to Brajavasis, the gopis, but the thing is that he's saying to us as well, if we want to get Krishna's favor, the only process is the bhakti. And Prabhupada write actually in previous verses somewhere, yeah, if you see here, he says that there are three kinds of devotional service. One is bhakti, which is actually ordinary sadhana bhakti, or Suddha Bhakti, that's pure devotional service, and Vida Bhakti, which is mixed devotional service. And we talked about these different categories of bhakti. Yeah, so let us continue from text 30. So here Krishna says that how Mother Yashoda thinks me as his son and minds me, and then she nourishes me and protects me, thinking Krishna is helpless. She even worship Vishnu to protect Krishna, but essentially we know that Krishna's expansion are the Vishnus. Yeah, and then he talks about the friends, and then about his lover. Yeah, like that. Okay, let us continue from text 30. आमिहा ना जानी ताहा ना जाने गोपी गणा दुहार रूपे गुणे दुहार नित्य हरे मन. Yes, Rupesh Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Neither the gopis nor I shall notice this, for our minds will always be entranced by one another's beauty and qualities.
Yeah, so both are attracted to each other. So in the spiritual sky, the Vaikuntha planets are predominated by Narayana. Yeah, his devotees have the same features he does, and the exchange of devotion there is on the platform of reverence. So earlier we saw that Krishna doesn't like much the reciprocation or devotion in earned reverence, right? That's in Vaikuntha Loka. But above all these Vaikuntha planets is the Goloka or Krishna Loka, where the original personality of Godhead Krishna fully manifests his pleasure potency in free loving affairs. Since the devotees in the material world know almost nothing about these affairs, the Lord desires to show these affairs to them. In the Golok Vrindavan, there is an exchange of love known as Parakiya Rasa. It is something like the attraction of a married woman for a man other than her husband. In the material world, this sort of relationship is most abominable because it is a perverted reflection of the Parakiya Rasa in the spiritual world, where it is the highest kind of loving affair. So Parakiya Rasa in the spiritual world is the highest kind of loving affair, but it is very abominable in this material world because it is perverted reflection, as Krishna explains in chapter 15 of Bhagavad Gita. This whole world is perverted reflection of spiritual world, where the real love never exists. Yeah, everyone is, Prabhupada sometimes says, everyone is selfish here in this material world. No one really loves anyone. As soon as they see that their own desire is not being fulfilled, love finishes. That's a material world, but that doesn't happen in a spiritual world. Such feeling between the devotee and the Lord are presented by the influence of Yogamaya. The Bhagavad Gita states that the devotee of the highest grade are under the care of Deva Maya or Yoga Maya. Mahatmanastu mam partha devim prakritim ashrita. Bhagavad Gita 9:13. Those who are actually great souls or Mahatmas are fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness, always engaged in the service of the Lord. They are under the care of Devi Prakriti or Yoga Maya. There are two Mayas, Yoga Maya and Mahamaya. Mahamaya takes care of this material world, and Yoga Maya takes care of the spiritual world. Mahamaya takes care of the materialistic people, and Yoga Maya takes care of the devotees. So Yoga Maya creates a situation in which the devotee is prepared to transgress all regulative principles simply to love Krishna, because this is the highest thing. A devotee naturally does not like to transgress the laws of reverence for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but by the influence of Yogamaya, he is prepared to do anything to love the Supreme Lord better. Right? So, thus, those under the spell of material energy cannot at all appreciate the activities of Yogamaya, for a conditioned soul can hardly understand the pure reciprocation between the Lord and his devotee. But by executing devotional service under the regulative principles, one can become very highly elevated and then begin to appreciate the dealing of pure love under the management of Yogamaya. I think we went into detail in after devotion discussion that how you know highly elevated devotee they appreciate the pure love of Godhead. Yeah. In the spiritual loving sentiment induced by the Yogamaya potency, both Lord Sri Krishna and the damsels of Braja forget themselves in spiritual rapture. By the influence of such forgetfulness, the attractive beauty of the gopis plays a prominent part in the transcendental satisfaction of the Lord, who has nothing to do with the mundane sex. Because spiritual love for Godhead is above everything mundane, the gopis superficially seems to transgress the codes of mundane morality. Yeah, Prabhupada writes here that the gopis superficially seems to transgress the code of mundane morality. This is perfectly puzzled mundane moralities. Right? Therefore, Yogamaya acts to cover the Lord and his pastimes from the eyes of mundaneers, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, where the Lord says that he reserves the right of not being exposed to anyone. Yeah. The acts of Yogamaya make it possible for the Lord and the gopis in loving ecstasy. So to sometimes meet and sometimes separate, this transcendental loving affair of the Lord are unimaginable to empiricists involved in the impersonal feature of the absolute truth. So this loving affair is not available in the Brahmajyoti or impersonal feature of the Lord. Therefore, the Lord Himself appears before the mundaners to bestow upon them the highest form of spiritual realization and also personally release its essence. The Lord is so merciful that He Himself descends to take the fallen souls back home to the kingdom of Godhead. I mean, who else can be more merciful, right? Krishna Himself comes here so that we can go back to the spiritual world. We don't have that inclinations to go to spiritual world, but Krishna, by doing his pastimes, invites us to come back to the spiritual world. Yeah. The reason the Lord displays the Rasa Leela is essentially to induce all the fallen souls to give up their diseased morality and religiosity and to attract them to the kingdom of God to enjoy the reality. Just imagine this Rasa Leela is not a mundane at all. I mean, even to take part in this Rasa Leela, Lord Shiva has to become a gopi. Right? Gopeshwar Mahadev is there. Even Narada becomes a gopi to at least take part in this Leela. So just imagine how this Leela can be in a mundane. Prabhupada writes here, a person who actually understands what is Rasa Leela will certainly hate to indulge in the mundane sex life. For a realized soul, hearing the Lord's Rasa Leela through the proper channel will result in complete abstinence from material sexual pleasure. Yeah, this is one of the what it says benefit of blessings. Yeah, Shruti Phala. So Phala of hearing these pastimes is that we get displeasure in the mundane activities. So Rasalila is not at all mundane. It's very, very, very on very high platform. Otherwise, greats learned like Sukadev Goswami won't be quoting Rasalila here in the Bhagavatam. And again, we see Narada Muni, right, and Lord Shiva. They are willing to take part in that. Even Mata Lakshmi is not allowed to take part in Rasalila. Just imagine, so highly elevated. It's not a tinge of mundane activities there. But to understand that, it's not that easy for mundane people to understand it. Text Prabhupada says that if we want to understand the essence of Rasalila, which is coming in the 10th canto, chapter, I think it's 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, these 5 chapters, Pancharasa Adhyaya. For to go to that point, to understand that in essence, we'll have to read the Bhagavatam in a sequentially, Canto 1, Chapter 1, Verse 1, and continue till Canto 10, Chapter 29, Text 1, and that. When we thoroughly understand what Bhagavatam says, what is Krishna, who is Krishna, and when our heart is pure to understand the Krishna, who Krishna is, then we can appreciate Krishna's pastimes. So if we go sequentially from Canto 1 till Canto 10, and then by the mercy of Krishna, we will be able to understand what Rasalila actually means. Otherwise, just trying to jump directly into chapters of Rasalila, it will look like as an mundane, and it will not benefit us at all. Yeah. Text 31. धर्म छाड़ी रागे दुहे कर ये मिलाना, कभू मिले कभू न मिले द्वैरा घटना. Yeah, Kishore Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Pure attachment will unite us even at the expense of moral and religious duties, dharma. Destiny will sometimes bring us together and sometimes separate us. Hare Krishna.
The gopis came out to meet Krishna in the dead of night when they heard the sound of his flute. Srila Rupa Goswami has accordingly composed a nice verse in Adilila 5224 that describes the beautiful boy called Govinda standing by the bank of Yamuna with his flute to his lips in the shining moonlight. Those who want to enjoy, and a very beautiful actually this verse is, let's read out again. It says what it says. Rupa Goswami says, those who want to enjoy life in the materialistic way of society, friendship and love should not go to Yamuna to see the form of Govinda. What form? That beautiful boy standing in the bank of Yamuna with his flute to his lips in a shining moonlight. So those who wanted to go, I mean, this basically sarcastically says, it means is that as soon as you see Krishna on the bank of Yamuna with a flute, all right, our materialistic way of living will be taken away. As he says, the sound of Lord Krishna's flute is so sweet that he has made the gopis forget all about their relationship with their kinsmen and flee to Krishna in the dead of night. Yeah, so basically it says anyone has a desire of enjoying materialistic life, let not go there, because as soon as we see this Krishna on the bank of Yamuna, we will be attracted so much to his face that we will forget else everything. That's the basic essence of this verse by Rupa Goswami. So by leaving home in that way, the gopis transgress the Vedic regulations of household life. This indicates that when natural feelings of love for Krishna becomes fully manifest, a devotee can neglect conventional social rules and regulations. That's Ragatmika Vikti actually. In the material world, we are situated in designative positions only. But pure devotional service begins when one is freed from all designations. When love for Krishna is awakened, the designative positions are overcome. The spontaneous attraction of Sri Krishna for his dearest part and parcel generates an enthusiasm that obliges Sri Krishna and the gopis to meet together. To celebrate this transcendental enthusiasm, there is a need of a sentiment of separation between the lover and the beloved. In the condition of mental tribulation, no one wants the pangs of separation, but in the transcendental form, the very same separation, being absolute in its nature, strengthens the ties of love and enhances the desire of lover and beloved to meet. The period of separation, evaluated transcendentally, is more relishable than the actual meeting, which lacks the feeling of increasing anticipation because the lover and beloved are both present. So basically, Prabhupada's giving a bit more of explanation about uh, Parakya Rasa. I think we discussed in here this Parakya Rasa, or Rasa means mellows anyway, and enjoying mellows in a Parakya Rasa. So there is Swakya and Parakya. Swakya is the relationship between Krishna and the gopis in or not gopis, basically you can say queens in Dwarika. So they get married to Krishna, and they were having relationship of Swakya. But in Vrindavan, all the gopis they are married to someone else, but all the gopis there's much attraction towards Krishna, and that's called Parakya. Yeah. So when we go to Canto 10, we will discuss more on this part. Text 31. Dharma chadi rage duhe karaye milana. I think we read this one, right? Yeah. Text 32. এই সব রস নির্যাস করিব আস্বাদ এই দ্বারে করিব সব ভক্তের প্রসাদ. Yes, Jyoti Prabhu. Yes, Gaurangi Mataji.
Should I still study, bro?
Yes, Prabhu, you can study anyone.
Okay. I shall taste the essence of all these rasas, and in this way, I shall favor all the devotees.
Yeah. So this is the way he wanted to taste the essence of all rasas. Text 33. ब्रजेरा निर्मल राग सुनि भक्त गण राग मार्ग भजयेन चारि धर्म कर्म. Yes, Gaurangi Mataji.
Then, by hearing about the pure love of the residents of Raja, devotees will worship me on the path of spontaneous love, abandoning all rituals of religiosity and fruitive activity.
Yes, spontaneous love is raganuga bhakti, right? Where they abandon all rituals, though it's not on the mundane platform again. Yeah. So many realized souls such as Raghunath Das Goswami and King Kulashekara have recommended with great emphasis that one develop this spontaneous love of Godhead, even at the risk of transgressing all the traditional codes of morality and religiosity. Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, one of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, has written in his prayers called Manasiksha that one should simply worship Radha and Krishna with all attention. न धर्मम ना धर्मम श्रुतिगण निरुक्तम किल kuru. One should not be much interested in performing Vedic rituals or simply following rules and regulations. King Kulasekara has written similarly in his book Mukundamala Shrota 5. Nashtha dharmena vasu nichaye naiva कामोपभोगे यद्भावयन् तद्भवतु भगवान् कर्मा अनुरूपम् एतत् प्रार्थ्यं मम बहुमतं जन्म जन्मान्तरेऽपि त्वत्पदाम्भोरुहयुग गता निश्चल भक्तिरस्तु. I have no attraction for performing religious rituals or holding any earthly kingdom. I do not care for sense enjoyment. Let them appear and disappear in accordance with my previous deeds. My only desire is to be fixed in devotional service to the lotus feet of the Lord, even though I may continue to take birth here like after life. So basically, the devotee, they do not care about taking birth again and again, or even in whatsoever condition. The only thing they need is, or only desire is to be fixed in devotional service to the lotus feet of the Lord. And though eventually we say that we want to go back to Godhead, go to Golok Vrindavan or in the spiritual world, but eventually the highest of everything is that the devotee thinks about that in whatsoever condition I am, let me be fixed in devotional service to the Lord. It doesn't matter where I am. Right. There is a very beautiful verses glorifying this. Yeah. Let me see if I can find that. Okay. Let me see. Give me 1 second. Yeah. Yeah. So one of the great poet, of his called as Ras Khan. Many might have heard about him. So he writes so many beautiful poets about Vrindavan, about Lord Krishna. Though he was a Muslim, in one of his he says that how and what he desires. He says that मानुष हूँ तो वही रस खानी बसों ब्रज गोकुल गांव के ग्वालन. If I become Manus or human being, let me be one of these in the Brajavasi, or let me be a Brajavasi. If I want to become a human being, oh Lord, bless me that I become a Brajavasi. Right? That's the first line he says. And then he says, जो पशु हो तो कहा बस मेरी चरो नीत नंद की धेनु मजारन. If I am to take birth as an animal, let me be that one of those cows or calves, so that I can be a cow or calves of Vrindavan, no, not anywhere else. In the Nanda ki dhenu, Nanda Maharaj, the cows and calves of Nanda Maharaj. Let me be one of that. So what he says, if I take birth as a human being, let me be one of these in the Brajavasis, maybe Gopas or Gopis. If I have to take birth as an animal, let me be one of those as a cows or calf in the gang of Nanda Maharaj, right? Then he says, पाहन हूं तो वसी गिरी को जो कियो हरिछत्र पुरंदर धारण. So he's taking his next. He's saying that if I to take a birth as a pahan, as a stone, so let me be the stone of Giriraj Govardhan. Let me take birth as one of those stones in a Govardhan hill, which Govardhan has Krishna lifted as an umbrella to take shelter to Brajavasis. Yeah, so that's kind he is going to pray. So very beautiful prayers actually. So it means that whatsoever condition I am to take birth as a human being or animal or even as a birds, if I to become a bird, he says, if I to become a bird, let me be in one of those trees, kadamba trees. Let me be there and playing in there, right? So that's what the desire of the devotees. It doesn't care about birth, but they care about the devotional service. Yeah. Okay. Let us continue. Text 34. अनुग्राय भक्ताना मानुषीं देहम आश्रिता भजते तादृश क्रीडा या श्रुत्वा तत्परो भवेत्. Yeah, Rupesh Prabhu.
Krishna manifests his eternal human-like form and performs his pastimes to show mercy to his devotees. Having heard such pastimes, one should engage in service to him.
Yeah, the essence is to engage in service of the Lord, right? So why Krishna comes here, the very beautiful says in this version that Krishna manifests his eternal human-like form and performs his pastime not to kill the demons. That's secondary, right? The primary is just to show mercy to the devotees. And by showing mercy to the devotees, we can actually hear those pastimes and then engage in service to him. That's the real essence. This text is from Srimad Bhagavatam 10:33-36. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has innumerable expansion of his transcendental forms who eternally exist in the spiritual world. This material world is only a perverted reflection of the spiritual world, where everything is manifested without inability. There, everything is in its original existence, free from the domination of time. Time cannot deteriorate or interfere with the conditions in the spiritual world, where different manifestations of the Supreme Personality of God are the recipient of the worship of different living entities in their constitutional spiritual position. In the spiritual world, all existence is unadulterated goodness, Shuddha Sattva. Right? The goodness found in the material world is contaminated by the mode of passion and ignorance, because these three modes exist in everyone's: mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. But depending upon time, place, and circumstances, one supersedes other. But when someone is in Shuddha Sattva or unadulterated goodness, it can never be contaminated by anything else. That's in the spiritual world. The saying that the human form of life is the best position for devotional service has its special significance, because only in this form can a living entity revive his eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Wow, isn't it? There's no other way. The human form is considered the highest state in the cycle of the species of life in the material world. If one takes advantage of this highest kind of material form, one can regain his position of devotional service to the Lord. Right? It's very difficult for the any other species. If you see the aquatics, the trees, the animals, birds, beasts, no, very difficult, kind of impossible. But in human form of life, actually one can regain their position. Incarnations of the Supreme Personality of God that appear in all the species of life, although this is inconceivable to human brain. The Lord's pastimes are differentiated according to the appreciating capacity of the different types of bodies of the living entity. The Supreme Lord bestows the most merciful benediction upon human society when He appears in the human form. It is then that humanity gets the opportunity to engage in different kinds of eternal service to the Lord. Special natural appreciation of the descriptions of a particular pastime of Godhead indicates the constitutional position of a living entity. Adoration, servitorship, friendship, parental affection, and conjugal love are the 5 primary relationships with Krishna. The highest perfectional stage of the conjugal relationship, enriched by many sentimental, gives the maximum relishable mellows to the devotee. The Lord appears in different incarnations as a fish, tortoise, boar, Parsuram, Ram, Buddha, and so on, to reciprocate the different appreciation of living entities in different stages of evolution. The conjugal relationship of amorous love called Parakya Rasa is the unparalleled perfection of love exhibited by Lord Krishna and his devotees. Right? They're the highest. Even in conjugal love, there are 2 things. In conjugal love, one is Swakya and another is Parakya. And Parakya is the higher than Swakya. A class of so-called devotees known as Sahajiyas try to imitate the Lord's pastime. Although they have no understanding of the amorous love of his expansions of pleasure potency, their superficial imitation can create havoc on the path for the advancement of one's spiritual relationship with the Lord. So you have to be very, very much careful about the Sahajiyas. Sahajiya means cheap. Material sexual indulgence can never be equated with the spiritual love, which is in unadulterated goodness. I think very beautiful lines Prabhupada writes, And the activities of the Sahajiya simply lower one deeper into material contamination of the senses and mind. Krishna's transcendental pastimes display eternal servitorship to Adakshaja, the Supreme Lord, who is beyond all conception through material senses. And materialistic conditioned souls do not understand the transcendental exchanges of love, but they like to indulge in sense gratification in the name of devotional service. This is not very good. Yeah. So the activities of the Supreme Lord can never be understood by irresponsible persons who think the pastimes of Radha and Krishna to be an ordinary affair. The Rasa dance is arranged by Krishna's eternal potency Yogamaya, and it is beyond the grasp of the materially affected person, trying to throw the mud into the transcendence with their perversity. The Sahajiyas misinterpret the saying Tat Pravartena Nirmalam and Tat Paro Bhavet by misinterpreting Tadrishi Krida. They want to indulge in sex while pretending to imitate Lord Krishna. but one must actually understand the import of the words through the intelligence of authorized Goswami. Sri Narottam Das Thakur, in his prayers to the Goswamis, has explained his inability to understand such spiritual affairs. Rupa Raghunatha Pade Hoibe Akuti, Kove Hama Bujhavo Se Yugola Piriti. When as I shall be eager to understand the literature given by the Goswamis, then I shall be able to understand the transcendental loving service or affairs of Radha and Krishna. I mean, this is by Narottam Das Thakur. So, what to speak of Sahajiyas? In other words, unless one is trained under the disciplic succession of the Goswamis, one cannot understand Radha and Krishna. The conditioned souls are naturally averse to the understanding of spiritual existence of the Lord, and if they try to know the transcendental nature of the Lord's pastimes while they remain absorbed in materialism, they are sure to blunder like Sahajiyas. Yeah, so very important to be careful about Sahajiyas. It's not cheap. You have to take the process and then you get there. Then you will be able to understand it. Alright, I think we passed the time today. So we'll continue next week from text 35. Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone. Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.